Hello and welcome to WhatCulture Wrestling with myself, Andrew Pollard. Be sure to like, subscribe, comment, all of that good stuff. But clearly, you can see alongside me, we have a very special guest today, Jonah, the former North American champion, NXT North American champion, given the big hand already. I like that. A man who was recently turned up in Impact Wrestling and put the whole promotion, the whole industry, dare I say it, on notice. And in particular, Mr. Josh Alexander, who you will be facing off with at Hard to Kill January 8th on Fight TV. Jonah, firstly, thanks for giving us some time during the holiday season to talk to us. And secondly, how are you doing?
I'm doing really well. Thank you. I've had a great holidays and sort of had a bit of a week or week and a half before Hard to Kill to actually get some time off and recuperate the body.
Yeah. And how's the mind?
The mind is good.
Yeah.
Usually it's the body from wrestling. The mind is, I'm always thinking of wrestling and I'm always sort of on my game with the mind. It's the body that I need to keep up.
Yeah. Just to run through this, so with Hard to Kill, we spoke to Matt Cardona a couple of days ago before we recorded this. And the card itself was, I think it was 4 matches then, but it was a stacked 4 matches. Since then, there have been more matches announced, and it's shaping up to be a hell of a pay-per-view. Obviously, yourself and the walking weapon, Josh Alexander, which will be a must-see match for so many of us. I think there's Matt Cardona is challenging for Moose's Impact World title with W. Morrissey in a triple threat. We've got Diana Perazzo trying to reclaim the Knockouts title from Mickey James in a Texas death match. There's the first ever women's Ultimate X match. There's a 10-man hardcore war, I think it's been billed as. There's Trey Miguel defending the X Division title against Steve Macklin. And then another one that caught my eye, Jonathan Gresham defending the ROH title, man, against Chris Sabin. This is like just a stacked match. And the inspiration as well with the Knockouts tag titles against the Influence. So it's, I take it you're looking forward to this one.
Very much so. You know, as you said, when it was the 4 matches, I could see the card taking shape, and the match of the night, I want it to be the standout. And then the card just keeps building and building. And I'm like, there's going to be a lot of competition that night, but I'm still going to try and have match of the night for sure.
Yeah. And you've arrived in Impact, proclaiming yourself as the top dog, very much putting, again, everybody on notice, but in particular, Josh Alexander, former Impact World Champion, Josh Alexander, who got I'm a huge walking weapon fan, but I guess it's fair to say, to quote the great Macho Man Randy Savage, he had a cup of coffee with that world title before Moose took it away from him. Why Josh Alexander? Is this just you coming in and marking your territory, basically?
Basically, I think that Josh Alexander is a fantastic wrestler. I never not say that. I think he's one of the top guys in Impact Wrestling, but he's starting to be seen as one of the top guys just throughout the whole industry. So they're the people that I want to be in the ring with, because, I am now, calling myself the top dog. I want to prove that I can go with anyone and that I can beat anyone that especially people online think is the best wrestler in the world.
Nice. I like that. And say you do get the victory over Josh Alexander. Presumably you've got one eye on that triple threat world title match as well.
100%. I've said it before. I have my eyes on Moose and that World's Championship. And once I get through Josh Alexander, that's exactly what I want.
I like that. The confidence. It's not an if, it's just when. Yeah, right.
It's just when.
You and Moose have as well done battle relatively recently. So you know what to expect from the big man. And not to overlook the triple threat, because, you could be, by the time Hard to Kill is done, you could be looking at W. Morrissey as the world champion. You could be looking at Matt Cardona as the world champion. You could be looking, of course, at Moose retaining the title. Is there any one of those 3 where it jumps out the most like, I'd really like to slap them around a bit?
I'd like to slap around all 3 of them. And I think there may be a chance where I can do that down the line with Impact Wrestling. The one that stands out the most is Moose. As you said, we actually got to wrestle recently on an independent show, and it was something that I could see straight away. There's fireworks, and I think people are going to really resonate with seeing that. And there was no definitive winner of that match on the independent, so we need a winner. And I think that if I can hit that tsunami splash, there's no one that can kick out of it.
Yeah. And was that? I think that's for BCW. Was it for Battleground?
PPW it was.
Battleground was the PCO match.
PCO match, yeah. Crazy PCO.
Yeah, that's a house fight. Like, obviously, a lot of us were I'm sure yourself, we were sad to see you depart WWE, because it looked like you're on the cusp of going to a whole other level. But
Yes.
then when that landscape changes for yourself, and then you look at the matches that are out there on the horizon, that's like, as something like a good old hoss fight, that's a hell of a hoss fight as yourself and PCO. How was that?
It was wild. Yeah. We did some pretty crazy things. And he's a 53-year-old man that is still doing tope con hilos through the ropes. He had me on the apron at one point, and he did a flip off the top of the rope to me on the apron. Like, he's just doing crazy things that I could never picture myself doing at 53. And he is almost 300 pounds still. Like, he's a big, scary man. So I'm very excited to get all these possibilities to have almost these dream matches that people may have never thought they would see now. And I'll probably get to do that in these next few years.
Yeah. What's the contract status with yourself and Impact? Is it, I mean, are you tied down there for the foreseeable, but with the option to work other dates? Because obviously you've done work with New Japan Pro Wrestling, with New Japan Strong. You've done the indie dates that you've talked about there. So what's the I guess the formal contract status for yourself?
Yeah, well, I guess you can still consider myself. So I have an agreement with Impact through till mid-year of next year. So it's not any sort of contract where I'm actually tied down with Impact. It's just an agreement that I will do these shows through till then. Yeah. And my other agreement is with New Japan. They were actually the ones to contact me first. So once the borders open, I'll probably be in Japan a lot more, which is very exciting for me. And hopefully Impact can come to the table after mid-year with another contract or agreement, and I'll be able to continue doing stuff with Impact, because I think there's a lot I can do with Impact.
Yeah, it's. I feel like I whenever we do these videos, or I'll do a news video, say normally at the weekend, I'll take any chance I can to promote Impact Wrestling, because I think it's like a lot of people sleep on that, and it's yes. Such a great promotion. These last 18 months, 2 years, it's just been like killing it across the park. Moose has been a great world champion so far. Just his character arc over the last few years. Then you've got someone like Diana Perazzo, who's just one of the greatest wrestlers on the planet. It's just been knocking it out of the park. So it's quite the I guess buzzworthy place to be. But there are so many other avenues. I mean, what New Japan Pro Wrestling for yourself and your style that offers up, I mean, so many possibilities. Is there just, it's hard. I guess it's hard to nail it down to just one, but if you could name just one of who would be your New Japan buddy across the ring to beat up, who would it be?
I think first and foremost, obviously there's many that I want to work with, but I think the one that I have my eye on the most, and the championship I have my eye on the most, is Ishii in that open weight championship.
I hope you're going to say that. I really hope you're going to say that.
I think definitely the one.
Yeah, you've made a lot of people happy.
Yeah, I think that style of wrestling and the way that Ishii works against someone like myself, I think you'll get to see. I mean, you're going to get to see it at Hard to Kill as well. There's a lot that I didn't get to show in NXT. You know, obviously I was Bronson, I was a babyface. So there's a bigger aggression inside to Jonah as a heel, and I hope people get to see that, and I hope it shocks some people as well.
Yeah, it's so far you've definitely shown us there's a different edge to yourself that people who only know you from NXT did not get the chance to see. And it's put this like fascinating proposition on the table for people that watch Impact of like, well, this is going to be fun. He looks, not only does he look very angry, he's full of, piss and vinegar, I guess is a phrase. There's a lot of focus there. And just to start off with Josh Alexander, that first person you put in your crosshairs is an intriguing match, but then there is so much more in Impact, so many other people in Impact who could line up brilliantly against yourself. But how have you found it? I guess, is there a bit more of a freedom now, especially with the promos, because you did there was a Top Dog promo you did where you talked about your father in prison, and that came across really well. That translated really well. But is that just you spitballing and doing that? Is there that freedom now, that creativity?
Yeah, I think that's the biggest difference so far. Is a lot of the times backstage with WWE, I was given a script, and I would try to change things and make things myself as much as possible, but it's a little difficult because you have various writers, various producers, and trying to get things together to seem organic sometimes just doesn't come across. Whereas with Impact, I got to shoot that Top Dog promo, and they said, do you have any ideas? And I said, yes, I have a whole thing in mind. I have a whole story that I want to tell. If you just let me shoot it, and then you can tell me if you want something different. They let me shoot it. I did that. All of that is true. My father did spend a little bit of time in prison and stuff like that. So I think anytime you can be authentic, it comes across on screen. And as soon as I had shot it, they're like, perfect. And for me, as someone that is creative, a professional wrestler, and I'm artistic as well, I'd love to get that, artistic expression out there. And sometimes it was held back a little bit. So I'm excited to do even more of that.
Yeah. And for Hard to Kill with Josh Alexander, what are you looking to, draw from the walking weapon? What are you looking to get out of him?
I've already attacked his ribs. I've made him bleed internally. I think I had the most shocking debut of 2021 for Impact Wrestling. I think I'm going to bring out a more violent side of Josh Alexander. And that's not to say that he isn't. He calls himself the walking weapon for a reason. But you're going to see more of a fight rather than a wrestling match with me.
Yeah, you've gone after one of the pillars of Impact Wrestling for the last maybe 2 years, since there was him and Ethan Page went their separate ways. And there was that concern of how does this singles run look for Josh Alexander? And obviously he grabbed that ball and he completely ran with it. Everything got knocked out of the park. There was the X Division title win, which then allowed him to cash in the option C, as it were, to go after the world title. So you come in hot. You've gone after one of the pillars. And then, I mean, where are we looking after Hard to Kill? Are you straight away thinking of that world title, or is there a little bit more business you want to take care of first?
Yeah, 100%. I want that world championship. That's something that I think hopefully in 2022 I can accomplish. So I'm looking at Moose, but at the same time, there is a lot of other workers in Impact that I want to work with, especially some guys that I've been watching for a long time. So someone like Rhino, I think, and myself could have such an amazing match. So there's that. There's also the X Division. Trey Miguel is a fantastic wrestler. And if you saw any of my stuff in NXT, me and Johnny and me and the smaller guys always have great matches. So I'd like to mix it up with someone like Trey Miguel as well.
Yeah. Is with this agreement you have with Impact, and obviously the agreement as well you have with New Japan, is there, and you work in independent dates, is there an option to maybe say for you to go to the NWA or to an AEW just as here and there, or is that not quite on the table just yet?
At the moment, everything is on the board. So Brilliant. There is a possibility to see Jonah in many places in 2022. It all just depends on timing and what I've already agreed to as well. Yeah. But there is definitely an option to see me in other places.
Yeah. Was there any, or is there any, tentativeness of obviously stepping away from WWE, that there is the freedom that it brings with it, that creative freedom, the opportunity to book your own matches and to go where you can take bookings wherever you want to take. But was there that trepidation of obviously you worked the independents before WWE, so it's not like you were brought through just purely only knowing that, but was there that trepidation when you first left of right, okay, what do I do now? Or did you kind of almost like riding the bike where you just got back on the wheels and right, well, here we go, I'll see what I can do, I'll put my feelers out to this?
Yeah, I feel like there's always a little bit of trepidation because the wrestling landscape changes so quickly. So, I'd been in the WWE system for 3 years, and in those 3 years, the whole landscape outside of that had completely changed. Places like AEW had started up. Impact Wrestling's roster is completely different to what it was. And then even on the independents, a lot of the independents, when I was doing that, all those people are now in WWE or AEW or Impact or New Japan. So the landscape changes so much. So there is a little bit of hesitancy or trepidation to know, okay, where will I fit in? But as soon as I could get everything sorted, immigration, stuff like that, I was ready to get out there. And I'm so excited by wrestling. And I'm always thinking about wrestling. I'm such a big wrestling fan that it's exciting to me to be able to do New Japan the same week that I debuted for Impact. And then, announce these dates that I'm doing on the independent wrestling guys like PCO, or being in my third Battle of Los Angeles. These things are exciting for me, and I hope they're exciting for the people that follow me as well.
Yeah, and it seems that there's, almost an Australian boom at the moment. Going back to when I was a kid, I think the only Australian that came to mind would be Bill Dundee. Then, and now there's yourself, there's some inspiration. There's Rhea Ripley, Tony Storm, Buddy Matthews, who again, that's somebody that's on the radar of so many people of what he does next and where he goes, because that guy's so talented.
Incredible.
And then there's Mikey Nichols and there's Shane Haste. Yes. Of course, yourself, formerly of the mighty don't kneel briefly. You had a spell there. Is there any chance of maybe something happening there, a reunion of sorts down the line, do you think?
I really hope so because, myself, Mikey, and Shane all wrestled as TMDK, the Mighty Don't Kneel, and Pro Wrestling Noah in Japan. And as of recently, in the last couple of years, I know Mikey Nichols was doing, per appearance and going to New Japan and wrestling with them. And I know Shane Haste, who has recently been released, is dying to go back to Japan. So I'm hoping that we get to see a TMDK reunion, but this time in New Japan Pro Wrestling.
Yeah.
So we'll see what happens, though.
Yeah. Obviously, NXT 2.0 is not for everybody, and it's to watch it as a fan. It's a rather mixed bag, but one of the highlights, and I mean this in the greatest way, is he's such a perfect prick, is Grayson Waller.
He is, right?
Yeah, exactly. It's like you watch him, it's like, God, that guy's a dick, but I can't stop watching. Like, how's it like to see him get an opportunity now?
Oh, it's great to see that. I support all of my Australian friends, and I think he is perfect for that role. Like, I am a friend of his, but even sometimes some of the things he'll say, and I know it's written or whatever, I'm like, this guy, just shut up. But it's his character, and he does it really well. I'm longtime friends, and I came up in the business with Duke Hudson, and he started to do things on 2.0. So even though it might be an avenue that I wasn't able to take and other people don't fit in, it is something different when maybe some other people can fit in and be seen.
Yeah. Just before we get back to Hard to Kill and wrap this up, I see the great Terry Funk in your background there. So,
yes.
What yourself, when you go back to watch some wrestling in your downtime, what kind of, is there a certain period that you find yourself going back to generally or more particularly at the moment?
For me, I've always been such a big fan of 90s All Japan Pro Wrestling. So the actual pillars in my eyes, your Kobashi, Kawada, Misawa, Taue, but I'm a huge fan of Texas wrestlers, guys like Terry Funk, Stan Hansen, Dusty Rhodes. So I find myself watching those guys a lot.
Yeah, and in terms of Hard to Kill, what just the big sell now? What can fans expect from yourself and the Walker Weapon Josh Alexander and that pay-per-view as a whole?
The pay-per-view is shaped to be an incredible pay-per-view from top to bottom. I don't think you can pick what will be match of the night. I think there's so many good matches, especially now with the added, Ring of Honor World Champion Jonathan Gresham on the show. But from myself and Josh, you can expect something different to what the rest of the show will bring. I think there's going to be, you have the Ultimate X match and you have some things that are no DQ, whereas I think we're going to bring the violence within that ring, and it's going to be something that you're going to want to see.
Yeah, I like you say you can't predict the match of the night, and in your head you're thinking like, we've got this. We've got this.
In my head, I'm always match of the night.
Yeah,
but it's a pretty stacked card. So I think that makes for a good show though, because then you have all these people that are going, no, I want to be the standout. So it's going to make for competition. Yeah.
Brilliant. Well, thanks for giving us some time to come and talk to us here at WhatCulture Wrestling. Jonah, just to reiterate, Hard to Kill, Fight TV, January the 8th, from top to bottom, looks like a hell of a card. Should be a great event. Where can people keep up to yourself on social media, on Twitter and whatnot?
Yeah, Twitter, Instagram, you can follow me at Jonah is here. And that's how you can sort of keep up with everything that I'm doing. I have a link tree on both, and you can click on various things to support me.
Brilliant. You can obviously be sure to follow us at WhatCulture WE. You can follow me if you really, really want. I can't promise it's going to be exciting at Cultured Left Peg. Be sure to like, subscribe, comment on this video. Jonah, once again, thank you so much for giving us some time to join us. I cannot wait to see what's at Hard to Kill. And hopefully you walk out with a W.
Yes, thank you. Thanks for having me.
No problem at all. You take care.